Welcome to my course on creating a letterhead template in Microsoft Word for Mac. In this course you'll learn how to create a font and a colour scheme and set up a file with a different header and footer on the first page, and how to position objects such as images or shapes. We're going to start by setting up the font scheme. Let's have a look at the top left of the screen and you can see the font menu is right here. There's the heading theme fonts, and underneath you have two fonts here, Tenorite regular with the word headings in brackets and another Tenorite regular with the word body in brackets. What this means is that you're telling users very clearly what fonts you want them to use. Anything set up in headings is usually used for our built-in headings right here. So you can see heading 1 is right here, and headings 1 to 9 usually do use the headings font. If you are using something like the normal font, that is where the body font would usually be used. Attached to this lesson are two files, a Word document and an XML file. So I'd like you to download those now if you haven't done so already. Open up the XML file using Mac's text edit tool or another XML editor of your choice. Now here's the XML file. You can see it has lots of lines, but really we're only concerned with 4 of them. Here is the first line we're going to look at, which has the word major font in it. And the other one has minor font in it. Major font is your headings font, and minor font is your body font. And you can see here there are two font names, both called Calibri, in speech marks right here. Now all we have to do is change these to the fonts that we want. Let's keep it simple for now. We're going to use the names of a couple of built-in fonts that we're going to use. So let's replace the major font one with Verdana. And let's change the second one, the minor font or body font, to Aptos. And that's it. That's literally it. That's how you create a new font scheme in Microsoft Word for Mac. Now I'm using Mac's text edit tool here, so what I need to do is save this XML file. Here's a file path on screen for you for where to save your XML file. So I'm just going to read this out now. There's a load of forward slashes in between each folder's name. So the first folder you go to is users, then forward slash whatever your username is called, then go into library, then group containers, then a folder called UBF8T346G9.office, then go into user content, then into the themes folder, and then finally in theme fonts. Now I'm using Mac's text edit tool here, so the first thing I'm going to do is click on the name at the top and I'm going to give it a new name. If you're doing the same thing, please just give it your first name. Let's use that as a file name. And then the next thing you need to do is to find where the folder that you're going to save it in. Okay, now I'm in the theme fonts folder here, and all I do is click move, or your button might say save, whatever it is, put the file in there. Now here's a key thing, make sure that the file extension .xml is there and it is visible. Okay, here is the file that I've just saved with my first name .xml. In my experience, if the file extension is missing in Finder, then Microsoft Word can't read the XML file, and so therefore it's not available for selection. So do remember to put that file extension .xml in the file name when it appears in Finder. What I'd like you to do now is open up the example Word document that's attached to this lesson. Okay, it should look like this. What we're going to do now to finish this off is go to the Design tab, and here in the middle you should see the Fonts drop-down menu. Now the bottom half of the drop-down menu will usually include everything that comes with Microsoft Word. So the bottom half will be all the font schemes that are built in, when you downloaded Microsoft Word, and everything above the word Office will be everything you have created. So when I scroll up and look for my name, I will see it right here. So when you scroll up and look for your name, you should also see your name appear with the word Verdana and then Aptos. Click on it and now you'll see the fonts have changed. Now the final thing you're going to do is to save this file. You can save it wherever you like, but what you need to do is to save it as an actual template file. Now that's using the file extension of .dotx. So you go to File and then you can either save as a template right here, and then you've got the file format already visible in the drop down menu. All you have to do then is just find a place to save it. Or you could go to File and then Save a Copy, and then make sure you choose the file format of .dotx, which is right here, and then you go to your folder and save it there. Now, of course, you may want to use custom fonts, not just the built-in ones that come with Microsoft Word, and you can use those as well and set them up in a font scheme. Here's a font book on the screen. Now I'm specifically for this lesson looking at the font Inter. Don't worry if you don't have this on your computer, this is just for demonstration purposes. But what we've got here is Inter and all of the font weights that are available. Now let's say I click on semi-bold, right click it and then choose Show in Finder. You can see all the font files for that family are visible here as well, using the TTF font file. Now when you have a look in Microsoft Word, go to the font menu and then scroll down. You can also see the same names that are in your font book. Those are also available in the drop down menu here as well. So what we need to do is confirm that something like Inter Extra Bold, for example, which is right here, that is not just visible here in Microsoft Word, but is also available as a separate, its own font file within the font book as well. And here's the XML file that we've just used on the right. And just to avoid confusion, let's rename this as your first name and then the number 2. Then click away or save it. And then we're going to change the names of the major fonts and minor fonts here. Let's change the first one, which was Verdana. Let's change that to Inter Extra Bold. And this has to absolutely match the name that we can see on the screen. And then we'll change this to Inter. So let's save this. And now, when we click on the screen, go to the Design tab, change fonts, and scroll down to find our second font scheme. So that should be, in my case, Natalie 2. And we can see here now the font has changed again and it's worked. So this is Inter Extra Bold. And your body font is now Inter. If you're a creative agency and one of your clients needs to use a standard built-in font, especially Arial, then there's something that you need to be aware of. We're currently looking at Microsoft Word on Windows. And I'm going to show you the usual way, which is a lot easier when creating a font scheme. I'm in the Design tab and I'm going to click on Customize Fonts, which is at the bottom of the Fonts drop-down menu. And here we are, we can see the heading font and the body font. Now, apart from using the drop-down menus, you can just type in the name of the font and you can see Microsoft Word will start filling in the rest of the name. So I'm going to get to the end and then I'm going to press the spacebar button and see it already assumes that the next word is going to be black. But I want this to be bold. Now notice it's no longer automatically filling in the rest of the word. This means that it will not allow Arial Bold to be used within a theme font. This is despite the fact that when we look at the fonts folder in Microsoft Word for PC or Windows, you can see here's a separate file right here, Arial Bold. Here we are back in Microsoft Word for Mac. If we have a look at the font menu over here, you can see here's Arial, and there's a drop-down menu where you can see Arial Bold is listed. Here's the font book, where you can also see Arial Bold is also listed. We can even right-click Arial Bold and choose Show in Finder to see Arial Bold listed as a true type font file. So at the moment, everything looks exactly the same as when we were looking at the Interfont family. However, although we would expect to be able to use Arial Bold as one of the fonts in a font scheme, unfortunately we aren't able to do that. Open up the XML file that you saved earlier, and what I'd like you to do is put the number 3 after your name and save it in the Theme Fonts folder. Now remember, major font is where the headings font is, so here's the line underneath. You can see the existing font name in between the two speech marks, so we're going to replace this with Arial Bold. And there's minor font right here, and then you've got the line underneath, and we're going to change the name here to Arial. Then we're going to save to finish. Now when you go back to Microsoft Word, click on the Design tab, then click on the Fonts button. You'll scroll down to see your name with the number 3, and there you can see it also says Arial Bold and Arial. Click on it, and there you can see what's happened. Everything has become Arial regular, but unfortunately, even though we click in the heading and we haven't changed anything here, this is the heading, this is a drop-down menu. You can see even the preview looks like it has Arial Bold, and it says it's Arial Bold, but you can see in the text here it isn't bold at all. So for this to actually be bold, we would still have to manually apply the bold command, or we would have to go into the style, because this heading has heading 1 applied to it. We can then change the heading 1 style and manually apply the bold onto the style here, and then click OK, and then it would change. So that's something to be aware of if you or a colleague or a client says that they would like Arial Bold to be in the font scheme. You can see that at the moment Microsoft Word doesn't actually make this work.